and I am an entrepreneur, very, very passionate about business. I have previously been an employee all my life. I actually became a full-time entrepreneur in January 2023. Before that, I'd been working for a diplomatic mission for a very, very long time. But whilst working for the diplomatic mission, I had the desire to get into full-time business. But as would be the case, and I'm sure so many of you know this situation in this country, that sometimes you want to go into full-time business and you're thinking to yourself, cannot afford to give away my payslip just like that. You cannot afford to just wake up one day and say to hell with the payslip, because it meets a lot of bills. And I'm sure so many of us have been in that situation. And that was my situation. I constantly wished to go into full-time business, but kept thinking, then what happens to the bills that my payslip had been taking care of? And so it was a journey of juggling, trying out business while still working, which is not the very easiest of things, but it is possible. But also asking myself, is there a way that my payslip can be replaced by business income so that I can be able to go into business full time? And I know that many of us have been in business either full time or on a part time basis. In fact, some of us have been in business and then gone back to work because the business did not meet their expectations. Now, to start us off, kindly tell me if you have been in business, or you're in business, or you've ever tried a business that you closed. Just give me a full sentence in the chat box. I am in business. I am doing business part-time. I am working full-time. I have been in business then closed, so that we can see whether I am speaking to people that can understand where I'm coming from, and especially in our country, Kenya, because I believe that the economic circumstances are similar for us. Samuel says working full-time. Jerry says I've been in business and closed. Yes. And maybe you can tell us what cost you to close your business, Jerry, without giving us too much information that you'd not like to give us. Tell us what cost you to close. Abigail says I'm in business part-time, and I'm sure that is not also very easy. You have to really plan your time, how you juggle your time. General says doing business part-time, having closed several others. Jerry says I didn't have a good understanding of the market. Somebody who is Oppo says full-time employee. Is there anyone here who is in full-time employment and for some reason would like to go into business? Anyone who is in full-time employment and would like to go into business, or is doing business part-time and would like to one day go into business full-time? Let's have a very conversational session, because I am not here to give you the rule of the book. I am here for us to exchange ideas and see if there is a space within which maybe we have failed to look through the possibilities of running a business that may not be very punitive, that may not be very high risk, and that can actually give us results whilst being able to do something else, whilst being able to be in employment, whilst being able to run another business, whilst being able to be a full-time stay-home mom, whilst being able to look after maybe a farm or being a carer. Some of us are carers, and so they're wondering, for how long will I be able to sustain caring for my loved one without an income? Louis said was in business, then became an employee, then now back to business. Maybe you can give us a little about that. What caused you to go back into employment? Julia says full-time employee and part-time in business. Jerry says, I'm full-time employed and also doing business on the side. Yes, these are the circumstances that most of us find ourselves in, either juggling 8 to 5 and also doing business on the side. Some people have found themselves close several businesses. And that being the case, tonight our discussion will be around entrepreneurship. What is it that we should consider? What is it that we have maybe failed to consider in the past? What prejudices have caused us to maybe get away from businesses or shy away from businesses? And what can we do going forward? What can change in 2025? Tabitha says, I did business of farming, closed it because of lack of market. Yes, there are such situations where maybe you have not analyzed the market very well, or what you thought the market would be ends up being not what you thought it would be. Or sometimes there are cartels and middlemen that you did not anticipate. And so you find yourself cut out of a business. But does that mean that business is not viable in Kenya? Should we, all of us, just say to hell with business and let's go to employment? And is it even viable for all of us to go into employment? Another question I would ask is, what about when we get to 60 years? Because the retirement age for most categories of employment is 60 years, or even if it is 65. What should we do? Should we come home and say that we've worked all that we could and that we cannot work again? I keep telling people that at the age of 60, I think what should happen is a change of stations, maybe, but not the word retirement as we know it. Jerry says, I also failed in farming. Jerry, I remember your farming stint, and actually I've never asked you what happened to that part of your life. I remember a time when you used to be a farmer. All right, let us share my screen now so that we can get a little more into it and see what it is that we can talk about when it comes to entrepreneurship. The question I'd like to pose to us tonight is, what if in 2025 you decided to put away the prejudices that you've had around being an entrepreneur? What if in 2025 you decided to go back into the space of entrepreneurship? Never mind that you have failed once before, or you have failed twice before, or you have failed 10 times before. And who says actually it is failure? Can we say that all that happened is that you learned what not to do in the space of entrepreneurship? Tabitha learned that I cannot go into farming certain crops without locking in the market, without knowing exactly where I will sell my crop or my produce. I don't know what happened for Jerry. It could be the same thing. Somebody else may have gone into a business that they had not. Jerry said character development happened. And isn't it the case for so many of us that we go into spaces, and because of the nature of the business, we find ourselves having to say, I give up, because things turn out not the way we hoped they would. But I am asking us tonight to have an open mind once again and tell ourselves that, you know what, especially in the circumstances that we find ourselves in this country, maybe it is time we reconsidered a business startup. Maybe it is time we asked ourselves, where is one of the safest spaces that we can get business, or that we can get into entrepreneurship through? One, without having to quit our day job if we are employed. Two, without having to give up another business that we are running unless we want to. Three, without having to give up being a full-time mother or being a full-time father, without having to give up carer roles that you could be having for a loved one who is unwell or aged, without having to rob the bank. Because if you ask me, personally, I had never started a traditional business. The only nature of business that I would say I have ever indulged in traditionally is land. And I can tell you, land is messy. I remember one time I bought a piece of land that had somebody or a relative change ownership without the knowledge of the owner. So siblings, one of them changed ownership, of course, fraudulently, without the knowledge of the other one. And I bought from the one that had changed, ownership without knowing. And once it was checked in the Department of Lands, it looked genuine with the new name. Of course, those sort of cartels go all the way to the land offices. And within no time, there was a caution on that land when I had already paid for it, because it was, of course, being sold fraudulently. And what followed was a long case around who is the right owner and how I get my money back. So that's the only traditional business I've ever tried. I have been more in employment than in entrepreneurship, but I have been in the space of businesses that do not require me to resign or that do not require me to have a very big startup capital. Because I would suspect that some of us here that are full-time employees would love to start a business, but somehow the capital outlay, the upfront capital outlay becomes a challenge for them to be able to start. And just as a way of conversation, is there anyone who's thought about a business they would like to start, in which space, and they have found it impossible or they found it difficult to start because of finances? Anyone, somebody tell me what business have you thought of that you would like to get into, and because of the capital outlay, you have found that, I will have to wait a little longer. I can tell you one of the businesses that I am looking to be able to start is Luis says dairy farming, I imagine keeping livestock. Yes, it can be for milk and be very, very capital intensive and sometimes labor intensive if you do not have mechanization tools. I have wanted to be in the space of real estate, but the kind of real estate that I have always desired is not the kind of real estate where I have to be at the construction site because I cannot afford, to pay proper companies to do the building for me, that I have to permanently be there because I'm expecting or I'm fearing to lose building materials, because then that becomes another job. So again, that requires quite a big capital outlay. Jerry says manufacturing. Is there anyone else who's had a thought of getting involved in a business and they have thought to themselves, maybe, just maybe, I might want to start, but not yet because the amount of money that is required is forbidding? Or some businesses require that you get yourself trained. You have to go for training for 3 months, for 5 months, sometimes a year, to be able to capture the nitty-gritties of that business. Business startups in this country are not very easy, especially in the season that we are in because of the high cost of living, because of other factors in the economy that have made it a little more difficult for people to have disposable income big enough to start the kind of businesses that they want to start. The other day, we were doing the math around starting a taxi business with one of the companies, and we realized that by the time if you have got your car on loan, by the time you get to pay that car, you will have used up that car to the extent that it needs to be sold. So the duration of the viability of that car, as per the standards of some of those companies, is the exact duration for which you will be paying the loan for that car. So in essence, if you add up the interest on the loan that you borrowed, you add up the mechanical challenges that you had through the 3 years that you're paying the loan or the 2 years that you're paying the loan, you realize that you barely made any money with some of those cars. And if you are considering that space, because I was considering it with a car owner, you want to really do your math very well. And again, of course, there's no way you will not have to a big capital outlay unless you are somebody else's driver. I don't know what sort of businesses that you have tried in this country. I'm not seeing a lot of responses. If we can have a bit more conversation around that, it would really be good so that we can see what is holding us back. Or if you're in business and you're in a brick and mortar business, that is a business, the traditional style businesses. I'm not talking about online businesses because those are a little different. They don't require a physical space. You can do it from anywhere. You don't require to keep employees. But I'm talking about a traditional business where you require a premises, where you require workforce, where you require, to pay statutory bills every month. If you're in such a business in this time and day in this country, what sort of challenges are you facing? Can we get some conversation around that? What sort of challenges are we facing in those traditional businesses? Do you have anyone who is in a traditional business that can tell us what sort of challenges that we are facing or people are facing in 2024, 2025 that would make it a little difficult to make a sizable profit? Jennifer says, tried improved kienyeji kukus, but at the end of the day, it was a merry-go-round for my money. I suppose it was a merry-go-round because these cuckoos are eating a lot every day. You have to get someone. Jennifer, I presume, of course, it was on a part-time basis. So you have to get employees doing the work for you. And many a times, these labor-intensive businesses require just a lot more than you being away and just delegating to employees. And so General says issues with employees. Yes, times you get issues with employees, they quit, they get poached, and especially if you do not have the capacity to pay them as well as they're being paid anywhere else. Julia says, my previous business failed because of disagreement with my partner on key decisions. Do you know those are some of the things that sometimes you don't consider? We get into business. I don't know whether you mean your partner at home or your business partner or is one and the same person. And sometimes we don't consider these things. And so businesses come to a halt because there are major decisions that need to be made and you're not agreeing. Farming was not viable because of the changing weather patterns. Dorothy says that. I had thought of going into stocking children's clothes, and then there was little, what? I didn't get that bit. Let's see. Aha. People have done, I know people have done a lot of businesses, stocking children's clothes, and there was little or no support from existing business owners. Of course, How are you going to get support from people that you're creating competition for? There is barely anyone who's going to give you full details of how that business is going to run. Jerry says, I'm employed in real estate, specifically office space. Challenges include most tenants' inability to pay rent, space uptake is low, and we have to lower rents by a lot. That is a very good feedback. Dolly says restaurant business, competition, high rent, staffing, nightmare. She actually calls it nightmare. Statutory payments, even if you end making a penny. Yes, these are real issues in this country. Charity says try selling tablecloths didn't go well. People take loans to pay, and it's a problem. People don't pay. You take loans to build a business, but people are not paying. Exactly. And I am sure most of us have stories to tell about businesses they have been. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't come across this word called leverage, allow me to introduce you to the concept of leverage. Leverage is the ability for you to multiply your resources, your skills, and your time so that you're able to get a lot more output from all that. Now, unfortunately, in a job environment, it is impossible to leverage on your skills because you're employed for a certain number of hours. If it is 40 hours a week, unless you do an extra 5-10 hours of overtime, if you're in the category of overtime, or if the organization allows, then there's no other way of you making an income. So there's no way you can leverage on your skills. There's no way you can leverage on your time. There is no way you can duplicate yourself to create a bigger and organization whilst in that employment. And shock on us, so many businesses that we start do not give us the luxury of leverage because, one, the financial muscle that is required to create a chain of your original business is daunting. If already people are not, uptaking space, like in the case of Jerry, if, statutory payments are an issue because sometimes you don't make enough, how then will you be able to raise the same amount of capital, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, to start another, say, restaurant, to start another, sort of business, that a petrol station or whatever it is? If there is unfair competition, because some people are facing very unfair competition, how will you be able to leverage and start a second outlet of your business? Recently, if people have been following, there has been a lot in the last 2-3 months. There's been a lot of shaking in the importation business because of one person that was able to go to China and sell the same goods that were being sold locally for nearly half or quarter the price. And there was an uproar that, oh, this person has taken over business. And she did not take over business, she got wise. So there is cutthroat competition. Irene says, I had a butchery as a part-time job. Rent became a nightmare and I made losses. Yes, of course, Irene, you're not the one who's cutting the meat. As much as the cow is 30 kilos or 35 kilos, my friend, you will still lose a few kilos right there. Found out the butcher man I had employed used to buy his own meat and sell mine when he's done with his. I just stopped with a lot of debts. Imagine that happens all the time. It happens in bars, it happens in restaurants. I've heard of people employees who come with samosas. It happens in M-Pesa shops. It happens in boutiques, that the person you have employed comes with their own stock. and you find yours there. But you're the person paying the loans, you're the person paying the salary, you're the person paying the electricity, the rent, and so on and so forth. Abigail says, tried the rice business, especially Pishori, but I'd get unscrupulous suppliers who would mix the rice. I gave up, and so on and so forth. Can you imagine giving up? Closing shop means that you have either you've closed in debt, or you have lost some money, or you have barely broken even. It is a known fact that 95% of all businesses that get started either go under or shut down within the first 5 years of operation. And those that get to their 10th year, some of them get to their 10th year barely breaking even, and others still, struggling to make a sizable income. Tabitha says, tried a private high school which lasted only 6 years, teachers and enrollment issues. Yes, that explains the 5-year rule. It lasted 6 years, and those that go to 10 years also have their own issues. And I'm not saying that business is bad. And I'm not saying that people have not succeeded in business. All I am saying is that there are challenges that if you do not have a very big capital outlay upfront, you may not be able to surmount. And that even in some instances, when you have a big capital outlay in the beginning, sometimes you choose to let go when you realize that you're just sinking more money into the business, into its 4th year, 5th year, 6th year, and it has not begun to pay back. So when starting a business, not just in this country, you think the cost of investment, the capital outlay that is required, you think risk, the level of risk, you think the market for your product, whether the product or the service that you're giving is a high value service, that it is, a most essential service. You think employees, you think taxation, you think you have to really do your calculations correctly. Unfortunately, and of course, you think location, because some businesses just won't thrive in some setups. Unfortunately, most of us, especially in this country, start businesses from hearsay. That my friend is in the hotel business, in the restaurant business, and she's doing pretty well. I think I can do as well. My friend has started a school. I am a teacher. I can do a school. We forget that the intricacies of these businesses are a lot bigger than sometimes we anticipate, and that the learning curve is a time that you may not make any money if you're in a traditional business. So the question I'd like to ask us, how then those of us that are in employment, those of us that are in other businesses, how then will we be able to create scalable businesses? What is the model that allows us to be able to scale a business? By scaling a business means in the last 2 years, it was making you, net income per month of 20,000. That in the next year, you're able to make 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. That in the next 5 years, you're able to scale that business to give you net income. I don't mean cash flow. I mean income, net profits of 500,000, 1 million and above. In the next 10 years, you're able to use that business, or even 5 years, as a basis of investment for another business or another 2 business. For how long shall we always use loans? Loans that are very highly priced, the interest rates are very, very high. And so we are unable to pay off these loans and make money for the business. And that is why so many businesses in this country close, because the loan that you have taken is the interest rate is so high that when you look at the money that you're making after you've paid the bank and you've paid the employees and you have paid rent and all the other statutory payments that you need to make, you're the person who is not paid. And that can go on for years. It can go on for 5 years. It can go on for 10 years. A more succinct question is, then what will happen to our young ones? What will happen to the people that are leaving university and have no capital outlay? Because not all parents are able to give their children a head start in business. There are no jobs, at least not in many traditional areas that we used to have jobs in. So what is going to happen to the tens of thousands of youngsters that keep being churned from the universities, from the technical colleges, from the polytechnics, from high school? Are we going to keep these children at home because they are not able to raise 200,000, they're not able to raise 500,000, they're not able to raise 5 million to be able to start a business? Are we going to say because there are no jobs, then to hell with the education? Or are we going to drain the whole country and send everyone away? That is a possibility. That is not a possibility we want to consider. That there will come a time when every person who graduates from high school or university has to leave the country. Then what will happen to our nation? So what is the key to sustainable growth and long-term success in business? Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to you a model that you've had before. I'm sure you've had it for as long as you have been in post-high school years, because it is a model that has done the rounds all over Africa, in the rest of the world, and in some spaces, it has a very bad rap. It is a concept where a business owner decides that I have products that I have manufactured, and these products are really valuable products. And as much as they are valuable products, I wish the people that tell others about them could interact with the products firsthand. Why so? Because if you interact with a product firsthand, you become a very better explainer, a very better marketer, a very better person to talk about that product. I'll give you an example. Those of us that go to the salons, like I know even gentlemen go to the salons, maybe they don't talk a lot about going to the salon, but women talk a lot about it. And when we go to the salon and you find this good hairdresser or hairstylist, you're likely to get another lady asking you, where do you do your hair? And when that question pops up, you're eagerly telling that other person where you do your hair or where you have your makeup done or where you buy your clothes, without expecting any payment for that conversation. Yet, when you send that person to that salon, the owner of the salon makes money. Question that I would like to pose to you is, have you ever considered that is a form of consultation? Have you ever considered that that is marketing? Has it occurred to you that you're constantly advertising that hair salon, that boutique, that butchery where you buy good quality meat, that I don't know, whatever it is, wherever the supermarket from which you have bought good stuff, Have you considered that you are a word of mouth advertiser for that business? But the only unfortunate bit is that you don't get to be paid for that advertising. And so I would like to undo a sense of, should I say, bad thinking, or should I say a sense of thought line that we've had for many years that, I cannot sell, that I don't know how to sell. It is because we have always thought selling is cajoling the next person to buy a product that they may not need. We have always associated selling with convincing the other party to take on a product without them seeing the benefit that that product has for them. When you share where you go to the salon, do you need to convince the next person that that salon is a good place for them to go? Not necessarily. Why do you not need to convince the person? The reason you don't need to convince that person is because they can see the results that you have got from that salon. The reason you don't need to convince them is because you present to them information about that hairdresser that will cause them to want to go and try out. Now, whether the person goes to try out that hairdresser or not really is not up to you. Number two, whether the person goes or not, you have not failed in any way because you did not share that information solely for the purpose of that person going to try out the salon. You shared the information because you thought, you believed it was good information to share. And so this evening, I would like to change your mindset about the thought processes that going through your head when you think about a sales business, and let it known to you that sales is not about convincing the next person. Sales is not about haggling over goods and services, about how they're going to be bought and how you're going to sell them. Sales is largely a professional conversation that involves you sharing information that you think that you know is helpful to the next person, and then the other person makes a decision to use that information or not. And so, based on that idea, I would like to introduce to you a concept that I'm sure you've heard before, the concept of network marketing. And I know that so many of you have come across that concept and have in their minds decided this concept is a hoax, that this concept is a scam, that this concept does not work. And unfortunately, why that could have been the case is because you did not sit or did not get the opportunity to interrogate what exactly happens in network marketing. Now, the concept of network marketing purely means that a company has manufactured goods and they choose, or products that they choose to sell through word of mouth instead of putting those products in sales outlets. Why do they choose word of mouth? Because by choosing word of mouth, then they give more power to the partners with whom they share the profits. Who do they share the profits with? They share the profits with anyone who is willing to say, I would like to try your products. I would like to use your products. This person who says, I would like to use your soap, I would like to use your toothpaste, then becomes a partner if they so want. And once they've liked that soap, or once they have seen another person who has used the soap and the soap has worked well for them, then they are able to say, yes, I like that soap. Yes, that soap works really well. Yes, that soap has no chemicals, so I want to use it on my skin. Yes, that toothpaste has no chemicals, so I want to use it in my mouth. Yes, that skincare range has no harmful chemicals, so I would like to use it on my skin. But that is not yet everything. In the concept of network marketing, and this is the only concept that you get paid for using. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to a company that I partnered with exactly 3.5 years ago in July 2021 that allowed me to be able to run a business that I did not know how to on a part-time basis, but with the help of a system that had been laid before me and with the help of other business partners that were showing me the way. We've already said that so many of us struggle to start businesses or struggle to run businesses because there is no blueprint. Nobody is showing you the way. The people in the market are afraid that you're causing unnecessary competition. Sometimes you have bought on a product that you did not know does not have a market. What if we would offer you a scenario where the product that you're coming to interact with is a product that has been tried for over 30 years? What if would offer you an opportunity to use products similar to the ones that you buy in your supermarket, similar to the ones that you buy in your health stores, but be able to buy at a discounted price and get paid for buying? I would like to propose to us that one of the reasons why our finances are extremely strained in this country is because we do not take care of the cents. We are only looking to take care of the notes, the big money. But when it comes to the cents, we make no sense out of it. If today you begin to take care of the cents, in no time, you will realize your finances will begin to make sense. How do you take care of the cents? You take care of the cents by partnering with a company that allows you to buy soap at a discounted price. Because tomorrow, I bet you 20 of us in this call, 20 of us in this training will pass by a supermarket and buy bathing soap. 30 of us in this call will pass by a health store and buy a vitamin C or buy a vitamin D or buy an acid or buy a painkiller or even buy, what else do we buy a lot? Something for ulcers, buy something for headache, and we don't think about it. Nobody gets to pay us when we buy those things. What if you would have an outlet that allows you to buy the same things that you do every single month, but get paid for it? And not just get paid for it. If somebody asks you, what are you using on your skin? It looks nice, it looks wrinkle-free, it looks supple, it looks youthful, and you tell them what you're using on your skin and they're interested, then you sell to them and make a retail profit. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to ask you, have you ever come across a business that is able to pay you in 10 different ways? One of the reasons why people shy away from network marketing is because they think from the word go, they have to start hawking the products that they get involved in business with. What if you started by finding products that you can use? Like I've said, toothpaste, soap, lotion, a vitamin C, vitamin D, magnesium, calcium, something for your joints, coffee, tea, What if you just started by buying the same things that you buy from the supermarket? Better still, what if those products were of a higher value, were more useful to your body than the ones that you buy from the supermarket? For example, this is one of our products. It is a pressure tea. It is also an antioxidant tea. It is a tea that keeps you youthful, keeps you hydrated, keeps your body cleansed as you go. Remember, every day you will take tea. Every day you will take coffee. What if you replace your regular tea with a healthy coffee, with a healthy tea, and get paid for taking that tea? I'll tell you something. I have taken this tea for the last 3.5 years without fail. The question I'm sure somebody is asking, isn't that too much tea? Haven't you taken the tea your grandma cooks, the tea your mother cooks, the tea you make every morning in your house for the last so long, since you're a small child in your mother's house? Isn't that too long? What if the products that are being proposed to do business with are products that you need every single day, are products that we call evergreen products? That is products that you will still walk into the supermarket and buy, that you will still walk into the drugstore and buy. Because with children getting flus here and there, with children going back to school, you will need something for flu, you will need something for food poisoning, you will need something for constipation, you will need something for, a running stomach, you will need something for sore throat. And these are the products we are proposing you begin to use and begin to get paid for. Now, read through the 10 ways in which we get paid. And I know that some people will say, I don't know of anyone who has ever been paid a global bonus. What is a global bonus? Some companies will give you a global bonus, or what we call a dividend, once a year at the end of the year. I know so many of you may have got a dividend in December, and so many of you are also going to get a dividend in March or in April from your cooperative circles. But how come in your cooperative circle, you have given them 2 million, you're giving them 1 million, they're using your money to grow their money, but they give you a global bonus or a dividend once a year? What if you could get the same amount of dividend every single month throughout the year and still get paid for the products that you consume and still get paid for the organization that you build around the same products? Notice in network marketing, and if you're in a company like the one I'm in, we do not recruit, we do not bring people on board. The company does not need people. What we do is we share the concept with willing persons like yourselves. And if you find a product that you would like to buy at a discount, then you open an account from which you will be buying that product at a discount. And once you share the products that you find with other persons, then you make an income. Have you come across a company that rewards you with travel of up to $4,000? Never mind, that is a very expensive travel. Have you come across a company that pays your bonuses, that pays your profits, but still rewards you with local travel? By the way, believe it or not, personally, I had never been to the Masai Mara. The very first time I went to the Masai Mara was in 2022, actually 2023, courtesy of this company that I have partnered with, courtesy of this company that I'm introducing you to, courtesy of this company that your friend invited you to hear about. When I was quitting my job in 2023, my greatest concern was insurance cover. I was asking myself, I've had an insurance cover, medical insurance cover all my life in employment. And now I'm going to a space where I do not expect to have insurance cover. Then it means whatever income that I will have to take a big chunk of it to pay for my insurance. Lo and behold, for me just to find that this company that I am becoming a partner to, or that I became a partner to, actually offers insurance cover, inclusive even of a last expense. Another of our big concerns are usually housing. I have worked for big institutions. I've worked for a diplomatic mission for 19 years. There was no facility to be able to buy a house. There was no mortgage facility with the diplomatic mission. There was no even support from the diplomatic mission to be able to get a mortgage facility from the banks. So imagine you partner with us, work your business very well, and you're able to get a Villa Award. What is a Villa Award? A Villa Award is money that is given to you at a certain level of your business to buy a house or to build a house. What if you partner with us and you build your business very well and you get to a point where you're able to get a car award? So many of us that are with us tonight have had the travel awards, have had the global leadership bonus, have had the sponsor bonus, have had leadership bonus, organizational bonus, and some of us who are very new have had the retail profits and personal performance bonuses. How long will it take you to be able to raise enough money to build a house worth 20 million, 30 million? So many of us in this country retire at 60 without having built a house. Not because they were careless, not because they did not want to build a house, but because their finances could not allow them to spare any money to build a house. What if you partnered with this company and told yourself that I am going to work so well, I am going to agree to be shown the ropes so that I can be able to buy a house using the money that the company will give me. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to a company known as Bright Future Superior Unique Manufacturers of America that manufactures food supplements. And when I say food supplements, I mean products that are made from things that we normally eat as food. And these products are for enhancing our physical well-being. They are for enhancing our looks. If they're skincare products, they're products like soap, like toothpaste. They're products like calcium that helps with our joint and bone care. They're products like coffees made out of mushrooms that are immune boosters. What if you replaced your regular coffee from your outlet, the one that you always go for after 5 with your friends, and replaced it with a coffee that will cost you a lot cheaper and that has a lot more health benefits and that will pay you after you have bought it? Is that a good deal or a good deal? What if you replaced your regular skincare products with our anti-aging skincare products that nourish your skin within 10 seconds of using them and that are made from natural ingredients? like rhodiola, that are made from algae, that are made from vitamin B, which is very good for the skin, that are made from nicotinamide, which is what gives your skin an anti-aging effect. What if you're a gentleman and you replaced your regular coffee with X Power coffee that ensures your prostate health is taken care of? That you're taking coffee, you're staying alert, you're feeling energetic like you normally do with the other coffee, but you're getting other benefits for your reproductive health. How many men out here are in their 40s and 50s and are already having prostate issues? How will we help them if we do not tell them about these sort of products that can protect their prostate health? What about products that are made from plants like Gym Effect, which is made from Gymnema plant that controls your blood sugar? I know so many of us during the December holiday indulged in a lot of chapatis, indulged in a lot of cakes, a lot of sodas, and we are beginning to feel like we've increased some 2-3 kilos. Some of us have even raised our blood sugar and maybe our pressure because of how we ate for the last 4 weeks. What if you could find a product within these products that would be able to balance your sugars, that would be able to reduce the 5 kilos that you're straining to shed, that would help you reduce your blood pressure? Isn't that even more important than the money that you will make from this business? And guess what? You're able to start up with as low as $180 or less, depending on what you're buying, and as high as $1,000, depending on whether you want to hit the ground running. Of all the people that have talked about businesses, Jerry has talked about real estate. Jen Rose has talked about also, I mean, she didn't mention her businesses, but I know she has been in real estate and so many other businesses. Dolly has talked about restaurant business. Tabitha has talked about a school. None of those businesses required 100,000 Kenya shillings to get started. None of those businesses could kick off with only 100,000 Kenya shillings. Yet, we are offering you a business opportunity where you are able to start with as little as 20,000 and then scale your business as you wish and as you carry on. So, tonight, I want to leave you with this. We are giving you an opportunity to be able to increase your day. If you're an employee, you can only work for those 8 hours. But if you partner with us in this opportunity, you will be able to leverage on your time and get paid for more hours than you put in with time. Number two, you're able to do it on a part-time basis. You're able to do it on your phone. You're able to do it from anywhere that you are. And so you're able to take more advantage of your pockets of time that normally could not be used for any other work. You also will get a chance to drop the stagnation that you have faced in your work environment. By the time I was quitting my job, I had been in the same job group for over 5 years. Reason being that I was on the last level of the pay ladder for the locally engaged staff. And so there was no other place to rise to. How would you like to be stagnated for over 5-10 years? And I know there are people who are stagnated in their jobs where they work. And so they can only depend on a pay rise, but they will never be able to climb the ladder anymore. But in this opportunity, you drop that stagnation by being able to build your business step by step and increase your income to an exponential amount as you so desire or as you so will plan to do. Last but not least, you get a chance to compound your business, expand your business outside Kenya because we're in more countries than one, and have other partners in other parts of Africa or the world, and therefore be able to leverage and scale your business in a way that you may not scale your job or your traditional business. I have been with this company for only 3.5 years. There's so many of us here that have been with the company less than 3 years because I should be the longest serving in this Zoom call. And in those 3.5 years, the greatest joy for me is the number of people that I have been able to show the way. The number of people that I can say, because I showed them the system, now they are able to make an extra 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, and profits that they determine themselves. And above all that, they are in a community of forward-looking people that every single day increase their knowledge through self-development in a system of learning that is absolutely free. So if you're a guest with us tonight, I would like you to get to speak to the person that invited you. Ask them, what exactly does it take for me to partner with BF Suma? Ladies and gentlemen, that is all I had for us tonight. Time is completely up, but I know that you have found something of interest based on what we have shared. Reach out to the person that invited you here and tell them that you would like to become a partner with BF Suma and that you would like for them to show you the system with which you will work. I tell you, you will forever remember the 14th of January 2025, the day you started your entrepreneurial journey. Thank you so much for being my guest